And welcome to the State Senate Higher Education Committee hearing on equity and affordability in public higher education throughout the pandemic and beyond. Today is Friday, November 22nd, and the time is 1:10 p.m. Throughout the series of hearings, we've heard from the folks at CUNY and SUNY and how they are resolving the issues caused by the pandemic, as well as administrators, staff, students, stakeholders, and in fact, a broad spectrum of the higher education community. And I certainly look forward to today's testimony. This will be the final hearing, and hopefully as we receive the executive budget from the executive, we will continue these discussions. But as far as SUNY is concerned, we have done remarkable things together, I think. We've increased TAP by $500. We've increased the opportunity programs by 20%. We've had a tuition freeze. We enacted base aid for the community colleges, and we have a floor of 98% in a concept of save harmless that's been used by the education community for years. We added $1 million in mental health and $100 million in capital money. But we recognize that SUNY, particularly in their healthcare areas, are facing very difficult times. But we're going to continue to try to help, whether it be with hazard pay, having the state, and this was my pet one, having the state pay the interest on their bonds, as they do for every other agency. And all of these issues would not be possible without the participation of the entire higher education community. And joining me today is State Senator James Gorin of Nassau, Suffolk, who has attended every single hearing. And we thank him for his participation, his insights. And before I call the first person to testify, would you like to comment?
Just quickly, thank you, Madam Chair, for these wonderful hearings. First three, we have gotten a lot of important testimony from administrators and from faculty members and from students, and people are concerned. People are concerned about the future, obviously with the pandemic and the finances, but people are also very optimistic that we're going to be able to really continue the progress that we've made this past year, particularly in the budget as we move forward. So I'm looking forward to hearing from the Chancellor and all the other wonderful speakers today, and thank you again.
Thank you. And I would be remiss if I didn't extend our appreciation to Senate Media Services and the service teams who work with them at the 4 hearings. And to Nicole Stewart, counsel to the committee, Beth LaMountain, Marilyn Dyer, Mike Favilla, my chief of staff, Adriana De Leon from the counsel's office, and our Senate fellow, Catherine Alessi. So with that, the first person I'd like to call is Chancellor Jim Malatras of the State University of New York. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Stavisky, and thank you for your leadership in higher education. We've really enjoyed your partnership in supporting the State University of New York. And to Senator Gorin and other members of the committee, thank you for having me. I want to use my few minutes here to focus on one area and then, of course, happily answer any of your questions moving forward. We are facing this issue, which is how do we better connect individuals who need post-secondary education. 70% of all new jobs being created in the United States of America need some level of post-secondary credential. Yet, many Americans are split on whether college education is even worth it. 50% of the nation think college is no longer worth it. And those are the 50% that need some sort of post-secondary credential. So this is a disconnect that we are trying to solve. And this was accelerated and exacerbated a bit by the pandemic. But the pandemic did not cause our enrollment challenges, which I'll talk about in a minute, how we're addressing some of those things. This has been an ongoing challenge nationwide. This is not just a SUNY problem. This is a national problem. As you can see, over the last 10 years, we've lost about 1/5 of our enrollment, but that's not equally across the board. In fact, some of our institutions, our doctorals, like our research university centers, you'll be hearing from President Javidan Rodriguez, one of our great leaders in the SUNY system, momentarily, has actually seen an increase in growth in enrollment. Our biggest challenge has been in the community college sector, which makes up about 1/2 of all of our enrollment on SUNY. We've lost about 35% of our enrollment in community colleges over the past 10 years. But what we're really finding is our enrollment challenge is really an equity challenge, which I'll talk about and then go through some of the things that we are doing to reverse that trend. First, income inequality is driving educational inequality. If you look at this, this is a pre-pandemic chart, but it gets to show, and this is only widening and widening. If you are the lowest income, the bottom income in our society, you are less likely to go to college and you are less likely to graduate college. If you are in the wealthiest quartile, you are the most likely to go to college and you're the most likely to graduate. And I want to show how that plays out in New York State in real terms. If you just look at our major public schools districts in the state of New York, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Albany, Schenectady, Yonkers, New York City. What you find is we have the highest percentage of economically disadvantaged students in those districts, a highest percentage of historically excluded communities of color in those districts, and the lowest graduation rates. And it plays out in real time. It drives outcomes. In those districts, individuals who are 25 years and older have the highest unemployment, the highest poverty, and the lowest lowest attainment of a post-secondary degree. They have fewer post-secondary degrees in those communities. And you see where our numbers are being driven. It all plays out. Where our enrollment challenges are the most dramatic are in these communities, especially these historically excluded communities. You see in the major areas, Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, Albany, Yonkers, New York City, is where we're seeing the biggest decline in our applications to the State University of New York system, as well as the biggest decline in enrollment from those communities. So there's really an equity challenge that we're trying to reverse here in a real and meaningful way. And when people ask us, is college worth it? The answer really is yes, especially public higher education. I'm proud to be the chancellor of the largest comprehensive system in the United States of America. I'm proud to be the first chancellor who ever was a graduate of a State University of New York college. If you look at the data, if you go to a SUNY or even a CUNY school, you have the greatest chance at economic and social mobility. So the demand is there. Our applications are down in those historically excluded communities. That's where we have the fewest degree holders or post-secondary credential holders. That's where we need more demand because our jobs need more of the post-secondary education. You see the data which shows that if you graduate from one of our institutions, you do better in life. That's what we're trying to reverse, which the pandemic has only made more difficult. But the pandemic actually gave us hope and optimism. I look at SUNY as a giant ocean liner. It's 64 campuses. It's 370,000 students. It's 88,000 faculty and staff. It's difficult to change a turn. An ocean liner is really difficult to turn. But what the pandemic taught us was we can change and we can adapt really quickly. We went from in-person instruction to online instruction in a moment's notice. Our faculty came through in a big way, and our faculty deserve a lot of praise, our hospitals and others. So if anything, the pandemic has shown us that we can adapt because the time is now. We can't wait while we're trying to recover from the economy. We can't continue these disparities, especially in education, because that's driving economic inequality. The demand is there. We just need to meet the demand with more opportunities for those communities that have been historically excluded. That is the basis of a new program that we rolled out in December of 2020, which is the SUNY for All program. And it has 5 basic pillars, which I won't go through. I'm going to work specifically focus on two today, which is breaking out of our traditional model and lowering barriers in providing support. The first thing, the challenge that we're meeting, and the pandemic has taught us this, is that we have to focus more on the student and less on the institution. And what I mean by that is our unit analysis is what kind of students are coming into SUNY. We have traditional, quote unquote, high school students who graduate from college and go to a college program, graduate high school and go to a college program. We have 2.2 million New Yorkers between the ages of 25 and 44 who have no college degree. Some are entering back into college to upskill so they can meet workforce demand. We want to focus on that wide variation of our students and then give them the best opportunity, whether it be online, a hybrid program, or a residential program. And that's how we're going to drive this. And the pandemic taught us that many of our students, although they love being back on campus, do love some hybrid programs. They take 3 classes in person. They have the flexibility to take 1 class at night online. They like that flexibility. They want the pathways created for them. We're also trying to break down barriers, of course, between our K through 12 system and our colleges. We're seeing a big decline, like you saw on that chart, especially in our Big 5 school districts and beyond, where we're seeing the greatest drop-off in our applications and enrollments in those communities. That's where the early college high school program, with the Senate, thank you to your leadership, have invested heavily in for many years, has broken down many barriers, where now students who are enrolled in a high school can also be dually enrolled in a community college. We have 31 campuses with 37 programs, early college programs. We've seen an increase in that enrollment, actually. We've seen an increase in retention. We've seen an increase in people attaining their high school diploma as well as a college degree. The next piece that we have to focus on is access. And Chair, you mentioned this, and this is something that we're acutely focused on, and we really appreciate all the support of the legislature and the executive, especially last year in increasing aid to us. We need to break down barriers which limits access. Childcare is a major barrier to students enrolling or getting faculty back in the classroom in this pandemic environment. If we don't have faculty who can go into the classroom because they're dealing with childcare issues, we can't actually offer more classes. We've expanded our childcare programs, and we're also offering experiential learning opportunities, which we think are important. Give our students a chance to actually get on-demand training in our childcare facilities. We've expanded our mental health program by $25 million. $1 million, Senator Stavisky, as you mentioned, from the state of New York, and we allocated $24 million of our federal aid for mental health services. That was one of the #1 challenges facing our students during the pandemic. Combating food insecurity. We've expanded the SNAP program. We're now auto-enrolling 10,000 students who are eligible, not signing up for SNAP, signing up for SNAP. We worked with policymakers to get rid of the work requirement and allow studies to substitute a work requirement, because why should a person have to choose between their job and lifting themselves out of poverty through education? And then we did things like eliminating the application fee for low-income students. That is an important thing. Many students who could qualify for an exemption were not taking it. If you just do the average of how many colleges students apply for, that's $350 in application fees. That is an insurmountable cost for many low-income students. We have now eliminated that barrier. But we're also focused on supporting excellence. And thanks to the good work of the legislature, we had the largest increase in the Educational Opportunity Program in our state's history, and we are putting the money to good use. We've created the first medical EOP program, and I want to thank our colleagues from UUP for working with us on that. That was one of their ideas. We thought it was a fantastic idea. You see the students there, that's the first cohort. We've expanded the number of EOP slots by 1,000 slots. We've gone from 8,000 slots to 9,000 slots. We've expanded and created a new ambassador program to create opportunities for them beyond the EOP program upon graduating. We've expanded the EOP program to 5 more community colleges. So now we're down to 5 SUNY colleges that don't have an EOP program. We want to close that gap this year. We're also focused on a program that we think is really innovative called the Re-Enroll to Complete, where students have dropped out of college and their student loans are coming due and all those other things are coming due. We're now working with those students to re-enroll them in college in order to be successful in life. We've re-enrolled about 25,000 students to date. Every one of our campuses now are now offering that program. And that's all due to this pandemic work under SUNY for All. And the proof really is in the pudding. If you look at, this is about excellence, access and excellence. If you just look at the Educational Opportunity Program, which I think is one of the most important programs we can invest in, the graduation rate for EOP students is 74%. The graduation rate for SUNY writ large is 68%. So it's real and meaningful. I have one final point, is we've seen great diversity, an increase in diversity among our students over the last decade. Represented minority students represented about 19.6% of the SUNY student body in 2011. Today, it's more than 27%. So we've seen an increase in the number of our underrepresented minority students. But at the same time, if you look at this chart with the smallest words possible, just to make it impossible for you to see, it's an eye test today as well, our faculty demographics have not kept up with the growing diversity of our student body. And if you look at the furthest bar, white faculty far exceed the number of white students we have, and it's reversed basically in every other category. There are few black faculty than there are students, fewer Hispanic, Latino, and Latinx faculty than there are students. And we're trying to reverse that trend because students have said to us time and time again, we want our faculty to be more representative of the student body. And you've helped us invest in these areas as well, because we do believe that great teachers equal great students. And we have great faculty, second to none faculty at the State University of New York, and we want to keep that growing. Prodigy program is one of the most important programs to help diversify our faculty body. We're proud of the fact that 41% of all new faculty hires last year at the State University of New York were diverse. We have a long way to go to keep that trend, but we're making great strides. Another program that is helping build a pipeline is the Hispanic Leadership Institute. President Rodriguez from the University of Albany heads up that institute for us, and it has really helped our Latino and Latinx faculty members and professional staff move up. And as I close, as we're looking forward to next year, SUNY's affordable, but we want to keep it that way. That little pink bar is the average fees and tuition at the State University of New York. We are below the national average, which we're proud of. We're basically among the lowest in tuition. We agree 1,000,000% with the tuition freeze because our tuition increases to make up revenue has increased about 40% over the last decade. We do want to work with you on investing in the State University of New York system. We need to hire more faculty to expand our programs. We are growing in areas in our university research centers, like in the STEM field, or nanoscale, or other areas, but that is high-cost areas of growth. It's good for the economy of New York State, but we need that bottom line investment into the State University of New York to expand our research capacity, to expand our faculty, to give our students more opportunity. Because the one data point that I always think resonates is the State University of New York graduates make up more than 1/3 of the entire New York State workforce. So with that, I will pause for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor, for your very comprehensive presentation. I noticed the ship, and you really do have a ship
We have an actual ship, yes, maritime.
across the river from Queens, the Empire State.
Yes,
I keep an eye on it when I pass that way. It's doing
good. Is
well.
it there still? Sometimes I get nervous that they take it out for a spin.
I know it goes out on training missions with the students, but couple of questions. You mentioned in your testimony working with high school students, because I have a high school in my district, Townsend Harris, where the students take classes at Queens College. It's on the Queens College campus. And we've had a really difficult time in terms of the funding. Do you anticipate how would you resolve that issue of funding?
I think the more you can increase programs that are targeted, that break down these artificial barriers that students don't quite understand any longer, like the early college high school programs. The average, I think, is about, I can't remember, like $500,000 per program. But if you double that, for instance, you could double the capacity in these programs really easily, and they do pay dividends. I mean, if you look at the early college high school program, whether it be P-TECH or some other type of really high quality program, you see higher retention rates, and you see more students graduating high school, which is a good thing. And you see more students graduating high school with an associate's or some other degree, which makes them go into the workforce or move up in their career by more education. So the more you can do those things, I think the better off we are.
I think so too, because I think those students, number one, are going to be encouraged to stay in New York State for college and not leave the state and perhaps settle someplace else. And secondly, it will obviously help our declining enrollment predicament that we sometimes find ourselves in.
And Senator, if I could just build on that one point, we have the high school student, but a growing sector of our student body is the adult student as well. That's why the free online workforce training program that we created, or expanding the educational opportunity centers, people say we're crazy, why are you giving away education for free? But getting individuals who have no post-secondary education whatsoever a chance to be successful with a certificate that's for free, that really gives them, get their feet wet in education, also builds that pipeline in the adult sector. So I think both the early college high school programs and the educational opportunity centers are essential for growing our economic base and our workforce training.
Yeah, and the students are not the traditional students that we saw in the past. A couple of other questions. We've had an influx of federal financial aid, both through the CARES Act and the Higher Education Emergency Relief Funds. Obviously, that may not be available next year. How are you going to fill in the gap or pick up the slack?
Well, we would like to work with the executive, which we've started on the executive budget process, as well as the legislature. We think it's essential that if you invest state dollars in the State University of New York, we'll pay back the dividends. And I think long-term, we agree. We want to freeze where the students are right now, but we need to make up that revenue somewhere, and we would like to work with the state to make up that revenue.
And you just announced a program of nursing scholarships. How, with the governor's office, how do you anticipate the cost to be, who's going to pay for it, bottom line?
So that's a great question. First, it gets at the essential thing that what we're trying to do as the system, which is focus on high-demand areas in need. Nursing is one of those areas. We need to train 11 million more nurses nationwide. If we don't, we'll have a shortage of about 40,000 in New York State alone. We see the crisis, right? It's there. So how do we address it? The governor, and I think it's a great program, is offering scholarships for people to enter nursing or move up from their LPN to their RN, their RN to BSN. And that's being paid for, I believe, with federal dollars. But we're also doing our part, and that's due in large part to the legislature, who put into the budget the high-demand nursing program that we're spending money out of there. Even if you give scholarships right now, we need to expand capacity. We don't have enough instructors. We're actually turning people away in our community colleges, which to me is bonkers right now. So we put down $3 million where we're letting campuses apply to hire more instructors. Some of it's clinical space on campus, simulation space, you know, those dummies and things like that. Purchasing those materials and technologies so we can actually train more students. So we're doing that, plus incentivizing, and I think Governor Hochul made the right call there by incentivizing people to come into the profession in order to be trained to become nurses.
Yeah, we're trying to develop legislation on how you deal with the simulations instead of the person-to-person contact. And in fact, I couldn't agree more, because in 2004, shortly after I was elected, the Higher Ed Committee had a committee on the nursing shortage. And in fact, it was chaired by Senator Pat McGee, who passed away shortly after that. And it's after Senator McGee that many of the nursing scholarships are named. But I attended many of those hearings. And what I heard was that there's a shortage of people to teach nursing.
Yes.
And this was the time when we were starting to require the BSN, the 10-year period and so forth. I was originally opposed to it. I thought it was onerous on the student, particularly the poor students, and I discovered, no, not the case, and it's worked fairly well. But do you see any other programs, any public-private partnerships in the healthcare field to advance some of these, I think, critical issues?
Especially in healthcare, Senator Stavisky, we're seeing that, especially in the nursing and other healthcare worker side. They've had to survive a pandemic, and now coming out of it, where it doesn't seem to end, we're having the 15th wave or whatever it is. I think there's other things we'd like to do. We want to work with the various associations, for instance, and build easier ways for nurses to get their BSNs, which you've mentioned. We have something called prior learning assessment at some of our colleges, which is basically college credit for career experience. If you've been working in the healthcare industry for 25 years, why do we want them to go through those things that they already know to get their bachelor's? We've been partnering, Empire State College, of which I was the former president, has a robust prior learning assessment program. So we're giving college career credit for career experience, so it takes less time, less money. They can stay in the nursing field. We're building partnerships among our colleges, which I think is really important, Orange Community College and some of our other colleges, to offer some online programming that's flexible for our nurses as well. Part of this is getting new nurses into the system. Part of this is just retaining the workforce that we have. And there's a burnout factor that we're trying to manage. So yes, we want to work with the various sectors in order to make sure that we're retaining and training new nurses.
Thank you. Last question from me. What do you consider to be the most pressing issue facing SUNY and higher education, if you had to pick one?
I think it's a bit of a crisis of showing return on investment. You see a clear disconnect. There is a great need in this country right now for more highly educated individuals. 70% of all jobs being created need some post-secondary education. I think our challenge is, and this takes investment, is how do you transfer a system that's largely static? You graduate high school, you get your 2 or 4 or 6-year degree, right? Your associates, your bachelor's, your master's, and then you move on to the workforce. We have a very different student body. They come in, they step out, they come back often to get upskilled because their jobs are being lost or changed because of automation or changed because we're moving to the information economy from the manufacturing economy. But our system's not really set up for that. Some people actually go to college and don't get a degree, but there's some learning that they could get. We don't have a credentialing system really that's highly effective in helping those individuals get employed. So I think we need to transform the system, show the return on value if you do enter a college program. I do think this equity challenge is our biggest challenge. Our communities who have been left behind, and the pandemic only showed the disparities in those communities, health disparities, economic disparities. That's only going to widen and widen unless we connect with those individuals, build the pipeline to education, because once they get involved in enrolled in one of our education programs, that's the greatest economic and social mobility. We lift them out of their situations, but it's on us to work with those communities and on us to build that capacity in those communities, which takes investment.
Thank you. Senator Gorin?
Thank you. Thank you, Chancellor. So looking at your slide, PK-12 public school district demographics, you listed the total to the state, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, the Albany area, Yonkers Public Schools, and New York City Public Schools. And I noticed you excluded most of the suburban schools, and you excluded the area that I represent, Long Island. And so I would love to see the information there, but, and I recognize that if you just, because I think Long Island has like over 420,000 K through 12 students, so, you know, quite a lot, more than, you know, many of what you list in this chart. And while I recognize if you take Long Island as a whole, you see, you know, more wealth perhaps, and you see, you know, communities that may be more spread out. But we also have some of the most poorest communities in the state of New York. We have some, you know, many great diverse communities, but are really struggling during this pandemic. So I would really hope you would, you know, put a focus on that as well. And I would love to see the same statistics as it relates to some of the communities on Long Island that I think are facing some of the same struggles.
Absolutely. I think, you know, this is illustrative, not dispositive, and we would be glad to break that down. I think you see some of the same trends on Long Island, Brentwood and Suffolk, for instance. you see many of the same declines, you see the same poverty levels, you see the same unemployment levels, so we would be glad to get that to your office.
And, you know, and one of the other issues we're facing also is that, you know, when you have poverty inside a wealthier community, that often gets ignored. And, you know, and people are really struggling as well. So I think there needs to be more of a focus on that, as in addition to, you know, the wonderful work you've done on this chart. Would you say that there's a special role in the SUNY system for our research universities and for our hospital systems that we operate?
I mean, absolutely. On our research university system, our 4 university centers, Stony Brook, Buffalo, Binghamton, and Albany, are among the best in the world. And you need to strengthen those research institutions, which are normally higher cost institutions, to create an engineering or grow an engineering program, which is one of the biggest demands. Right? Stony Brook is turning away engineering students right now.
Right.
We should not be turning away any engineering students. It takes investment. Those
So
are high cost.
how do we fix that? That's
We
one
need
of my
investment on
concerns.
that piece, right? The more investment we can get, the better faculty that we can bring in nationwide. It's a highly competitive marketplace to bring in faculty. That will pay big dividends for the state of New York, because most of our graduates do stay in the state of New York. Most of our students, by 90%, which has been the average for basically 10, 20 years, are in-state residents. It would only help grow those various high-need sectors, especially in the
So
STEM fields.
should we consider for the research centers perhaps a little bit more additional money
Yes,
moving forward?
yes, absolutely.
And your thought on, there has been, you know, some suggestions that perhaps we have a differential tuition, you know, for those students and families that can afford for, say, Stony Brook. Is that something you'd be looking at? Or I know the former governor had suggested that in his budget in the past. Do you see that as part of the picture, or just more money from the state?
I think investment by this, I think a tuition freeze right now is critically important, given that we've had increases over the last decade. I do believe that the research centers should have differential. They do have differential. When I testified last year before the legislature on the budget, we do have differential costs, usually in fees and other things, which is the most inefficient system. So we rather rationalize the system, higher cost institutions, and most other states are this way. We're one of the unique states that don't have a differential like this for our, especially our Research One centers, should have a differential. That way, it could all be aidable to students who are low income. Right now, it's not that way because we have a very inefficient system, so I would support a differential for our university centers.
What in particular should we look at in this upcoming budget as it relates to our university hospitals? Because as you know, they have been struggling. There have been, you know, many issues with COVID. They've also been folks that have stood up and saved lives and, you know, helped keep our communities going. But they're having big issues as well. What would your focus be on that?
I mean, Senator, I've seen it firsthand. I mean, I've traveled quite a bit among the system, and folks are stressed to the, I mean, they're stretched. I mean, there's nothing more they can really give, but they keep giving. It's really difficult. I think the chair raised a really important point, which we support, which is the debt service piece. I think that is a cost that is hard for us to keep paying back. I do think more that we could do on the retention side for our workforce that the chair also mentioned we are highly supportive of. We try to do our part. For instance, we've done what they call GEO-pay, regional differential pay, to keep some of our nurses and other healthcare workers working. We've tried to do some other bonus-like activities, but we could do more there because, quite frankly, much of our work, we cannot keep up cost-wise on the labor side because traveling firms, for instance, they're paying nurses $7,500 a week. We can't keep up with that type of cost.
It's an issue.
And we're key. Like Stony Brook is a major healthcare hub
It is.
for Long Island, and you can't lose that hospital.
Absolutely. And my final question, I appreciate your slide on online, in person, and hybrid, because at our prior hearings, there was a lot of discussion about that, particularly among, you know, the students who seem to like the option and some in the faculty. So it's clear that you see that as a future post-pandemic. will you be focusing on it more based on perhaps the faculty opportunities? You know, having some unique talent that you could bring in from, you know, other parts of the country, other parts of the world? Should it be based on a student's need, perhaps their inability to travel, finances, or should it just be costs?
The cost, to me, is the least thing we should look at. If we're just looking at a cost basis, we're doing it wrong. I come at it from the point of view, it has to be student-centric. Is this important, and is there a quality or usefulness to the student? The fact is, people in New York State are speaking about online. Prior to the pandemic, 50,000 New Yorkers were enrolled in an online program outside the state of New York. During the pandemic, 89,000 New Yorkers signed up for an online program outside the state of New York. To me, we should be getting all of those individuals back. Clearly there's a demand there. Students are demanding it. We want to make sure it's high quality. We want to make sure our faculty are trained. I think the pandemic shows that we can do it. There's some work to be done there. But if you give students multiple modalities and options, it provides them more opportunities and more access. I think that's better off for the student, which ends up being better for everyone.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Before, I just have one additional question. On the second page of your presentation, the community colleges, the 10-year change is 35%.
Correct.
How, was that a trend pre-pandemic, or was it accentuated by the pandemic? And how, because obviously the City University was attacked for their community college declines, and yet I see it's apparent here also with SUNY, and it's very troubling. How are you going to remedy this situation?
We are not immune from the declines because of the pandemic, which is a national problem. I mean, if you look at the National Clearinghouse data, it's everywhere. This has been a longer trend, though, in our community colleges. This is a 10-year trend. So over 10 years, we've lost 35% of our enrollment. We raised this, and I didn't want to give too much information. I didn't want to go over too much time. But I just testified at the city's hearing, which I thought was a really great session. Part of what we're trying to do, what we were really good at, what Governor Rockefeller did was built SUNY everywhere. But where he built SUNY was outside of those urban centers where we're now seeing the biggest declines, right? This equity gap problem. We're trying to build capacity and also partnering with CUNY as well in those communities. The Rochester Workforce Development Center is a key, important change for us. 3 of our community colleges are going to be under the same roof. Let's not duplicate. Let's work together, get those students in. The Northland Workforce Training Center has 2 colleges right now at Erie Community College, Alfred, under one roof. We want to do that across the state, which I think will build our enrollment because we're now going into those communities that have been left behind that actually need the education. Our community colleges are essential for workforce development. They are essential for lifting people out of poverty. We need to build that capacity to make sure they have the opportunity.
Thank you, Chancellor. We've been joined by Senator John Liu, and he has some issues to raise.
Okay.
Well, if you put it that way, Madam Chair, I mean, I suppose
I
people
shouldn't
say I
say
often
issues,
have
questions.
issues.
You didn't say grievances. So.
Yeah. Issues could be good as well as not so good. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Chancellor, for joining us today. You know, we all know about the enrollment declines. It's not because of the pandemic. A little bit is, but as you stated in your testimony, it's been 10 years of declining enrollments. And what do you think, what are the major reasons for the decline in enrollment?
I think we have, as I mentioned in my testimony, it's not equal, right? That's the other thing. If you look at our university centers, our doctorals, we've seen great growth. They've grown 12% over 12 years, over 10 years, right? So we're seeing growth in some of our universities. Where we're seeing drop-off is primarily the community colleges. They're about a half of our enrollment. So when they decline 35%, you're going to just see an overall decline, even though other sectors may be going up. I do think there's a disconnect. We're not breaking down enough barriers like I talked about. There's simple things. Our financial aid model needs to be simplified. It's a complex world for people to apply for financial aid right now and stepping in and stepping out, and there's penalties and all those other things.
Is it possible that tuition is a cause?
Tuition
Tuition has steadily risen in those 10 years?
we support the tuition freeze. We think we would love to, of course, offset it. I think our tuition has been about 40% increased over the last 10 years. I think that is something.
That's huge.
Yeah.
40% increase.
Yeah, especially on students who don't qualify for the full financial aid. If you take one of our community colleges right now, about 50% of our students go tuition-free because of state programs alone, or federal programs, so Pell, TAP, Excelsior. But you're right, that does present challenges for other students as well.
Well, isn't that an issue that SUNY should be more proactive about?
Well, we definitely we're here for more state investment, Senator, so we are in complete agreement on that point.
Okay, but for 10 years, the tuition at SUNY has steadily risen, and the proportion of operating costs of SUNY paid for by student tuition has steadily increased. So I would say that's a major factor in why enrollment is down. Has there been any kind of analysis about how sensitive enrollments are to tuition levels?
Well, we're doing an analysis on enrollment right now, which we'll get to the committee too as soon as it's done. The enrollment trend, even if you look at community colleges, even goes beyond 10 years. So you see this really unusual decline over a longer period of time. I don't know which is causal, but I'm sure many factors create, I think, being outside communities that need the educational, right? The community college being too far away. I think cost is an issue. I think certain access points like childcare, these are all issues driving enrollment. And then I do think I mentioned it in my early testimony, we do have a disconnect. I mean, this survey done in 2016 was like fascinating. It was a presidential survey. Half of the country doesn't think higher education is worth it any longer. The half that doesn't have the post-secondary credential that needs the education, we're not connecting well either. So is it cost? Yes. Is it other access points like childcare and mental health services? Absolutely. Is it location? Yes. I think all of those things we have to work together in order to close that gap. Because You're right, the need is there for sure.
But you still cite mainly the national disconnect, the idea that people don't think higher education is as important anymore. But that's a kind of a blanket statement that I think it's your responsibility to try to get to the root causes of. I would say the root causes are high tuition that's increasing much faster than inflation overall, much faster than wages certainly, the lack of childcare, and other ways that the community colleges and SUNY as a system should have been better connecting with the people and the communities in this state.
You're not going to get a disagreement out of me on that.
Well, okay, but the disagreement, I would gently object to your broad characterization that it's a disconnect. We need to get to the root causes of why there's a disconnect.
Well, that's what my presentation was about, but I do think that nationally, enrollment in our community colleges are down nationwide. It's not a New York phenomenon either. So there is something bigger going on. There is a macro trend going on, and you're right. That's what part of our SUNY for All program is trying to figure out. We're trying to close these gaps because the demand is there, but we need to, as a system, do a better job. You're not wrong about that. We need to connect with those communities. We need to get them enrolled because that is the best form of economic and social mobility for sure.
So, Chancellor, do you have a plan on how to address those root causes? What do you need from the state government?
We need
for
investment.
example, okay. Is there a scenario where you can lower tuition? Apart from freezing tuition, is there a way to get back to the same percentage of operating costs supported by tuition that was in place 20 years ago, which in my recollection is about half of what it is today?
I defer those to you because I don't get to write the check. I only get the cash to check.
Yeah, but
I
you
will
got to
be
tell
happy.
us what the plan is. How do you get to that point,
We
right?
are working this today. We are working on our budget proposal, and we'll work, of course, with the executive and you to make sure we get the resources.
Okay,
that we need.
I understand that. This is not a budget hearing. It is about long-term equity in the aftermath of COVID.
Yes.
And, the budget hearings are just less than 2 months away. It's going to be a hotly anticipated event. So if I may, Madam Chair, I would suggest that the Chancellor and his team at SUNY come up with a plan to begin to reverse the reliance on tuition of SUNY operating funds and try to get it back to the point where it was 20 years ago when it started steadily rising. Would that be a fair request?
That's what we're going to be presenting in our budget, Senator.
Terrific.
But at the same time, I think we have to be mindful, even with the freeze, and this is a point of agreement, our community colleges, for instance, have had to make reductions even with a freeze.
Well, that should be part of your budget presentation.
Okay.
One other question, Madam Chair, if I may. And this is a somewhat tangential issue. SUNY has, with your leadership, has thought it suitable to inject itself into the charter school issue by recently approving a charter in New York City in violation of the charter cap that exists right now. What is the impetus behind this subversion of state law?
Well, Senator, I don't know the details on that. There's a committee on charter schools, which the Charter School Institute, which was created in the 1990s, that SUNY runs. That I would have to defer to the committee that approved the charter.
Okay, well, actually, you had placed a call to my office about this very issue a few months ago. So when you called my office, you had no idea what was going on?
I mean, on the approval that was recently done, I'd have to defer to the committee and get back to you. I didn't make that decision.
Okay, well, I think you know a little bit more about what's happening, but we can certainly save this discussion for another time. Let me make it very clear that the legislative intent, which predates you in your position, certainly predates me in my position, that charter cap in New York City was well in place, and the state education department is vehemently against what the SUNY board has done with regard to this specific charter application. So we're trying to get to the bottom of why is there this headstrong desire on the part of the SUNY board to approve this charter, which is, again, in violation of standing state law. Thank you, Madam
Okay,
Chair.
thank you. Chancellor, thank you, and we will see you again at the budget hearings. And in the meantime, I think we all agree that our objective is to make it easier for students to graduate, and one way of doing it would be to lower tuition or provide additional state support, which really has been, I always had a feeling it was a perfect example of benign neglect, where the state has ignored both CUNY and SUNY students, and now finally I think the tide may be changing. I hope the tide is changing.
We
So
agree, Senator.
Thank you very much for
Thank you. Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you so much.
Did you? Nope. Okay. Next, we have Dr. Guillermo Linares, the president of the Higher Education Services Corporation. And we thank the SUNY staff for their help. He is joined by Dr. Elsa McGee, who gave me my first lessons on Higher Education Services Corporation many years ago. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairwoman Stavisky, Senator Gorin, Senator Liu, and members of the Senate Committee on Higher Education. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony today. I'm Dr. Guillermo Linares, President of HESC, and I'm joined today by HESC Executive Vice President Elsa McGee. New York State is home to two of the nation's largest public university systems and the most four-year degree-granting institutions of any state in the nation. Post-secondary education options for New Yorkers or those looking to attend college in New York range from vocational training schools to small liberal arts colleges and large research university centers, all of which can be found in urban, suburban, and rural settings across the state. Nearly 1.2 million students are enrolled in higher education programs in New York State across all sectors, with nearly 700,000 post-secondary students attended at SUNY, a CUNY college or university, and over 500,000 enrolled in a private college or university. Since 2012, state spending for higher education has increased by $1.5 billion, or 25%. In all, New York invests $7.5 billion annually on strategic programs that help New York students access a higher education each year. In addition to competitive public college tuition rates, New York State offers an array of need-based and merit-based student financial aid programs to support the attainment of a college degree. Our programs provide educational support for targeted populations, including veterans and their family members, and survivors of disasters that have touched our state. And our loan forgiveness programs support college graduates with loan repayment. Collectively, these financial aid programs provide more than $1 billion to help ease college costs for hundreds of thousands of students and families throughout the state. Through the long-standing Tuition Assistance Program, TAP, the state of New York provides one of the most generous need-based financial aid programs in the nation. In 2019-2020, TAP awarded more than $838 million in college tuition grants to more than 297,000 students attending a public, private, or proprietary college in New York State, with annual awards averaging $3,318 per recipient. New York State provides college access, equity, and affordability through its wide range of scholarship programs, such as Excelsior Scholarship, the nation's first free tuition program covering 2- and 4-year colleges, the Enhanced Tuition Award Program, groundbreaking programs such as Get on Your Feet, loan forgiveness programs, which assist college graduates in managing their student loan debt as they transition from college to career, programs to increase and retain workers in farming, social work, and as district and indigent legal attorneys, and the Jose Peralta New York State DREAM Act, a program which is near and dear to me, that expands college affordability to thousands of deserving immigrant students who attend and graduate from New York State high schools. New York also invests $247 million in support of educationally disadvantaged students through opportunity and training programs. Since 2012, funding for these programs has increased by $112 million, or 83%. Moving to student debt, the Institute of College Access and Success report on student debt and the class of 2020 reports that 54% of New York State college seniors graduated with student loan debt, with only 18 states having a lower proportion of graduates with loan debt. With average loan debt of $30,951, New York State college graduates fare better than students from every other Northeast state, including Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Vermont. Programs such as STOP, the Excelsior Scholarship, and the Veterans Tuition Award each provide full tuition awards for students who opt to attend a public college or university. As a result, nearly 230,000 public college students are now attending a SUNY or CUNY institution tuition-free. To assist students who have graduated from New York State College or university with student loan debt, New York State makes available $20,000 to $120,000 in student debt relief through a number of targeted and general loan forgiveness programs. Programs such as the Get on Your Feet loan forgiveness program provides up to 2 years of loan payment up to any amount for every eligible college graduate, while the Doctors Across New York Loan Forgiveness Program awards up to $120,000 to physicians who serve for 3 years in a shortage community. In conclusion, New York State has consistently sought to ensure college accessibility and affordability to state residents based on need and merit. New York is only one of 2 states to offer a need-based entitlement grant program, TAP, and the only state to offer a need-based entitlement loan forgiveness program. As a state, we maintain student access to an affordable college education in the face of economic challenges caused by the pandemic by preserving student financial aid and opportunity programs that serve our neediest students, continuing full support for over $1 billion in HES financial aid programs, as well as over $200 million in funding for higher education opportunity programs and training centers, holding homeless students who were unable to complete academic requirements needed to maintain financial aid eligibility because of their enrollment was disrupted by coronavirus, and extending financial aid award duration limit for those students who, because of the pandemic, were unable to maintain satisfactory academic progress due to illness, course closure, or other special circumstances. Collectively, our efforts have served to benefit hundreds of thousands of students and families each year in their pursuit of a secondary education. Thank you very much for the opportunity to testify, and I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. You mentioned the Excelsior program and the Enhanced Tuition Award. How has that, both the independent colleges and soon the public colleges taken advantage of those two programs to the extent that was anticipated when it was first presented?
Yeah. As you're aware, the Excelsior Scholarship, as well as the Enhanced Tuition Program, had one particular aim, which was stimulating in-time completion to obtain a degree to avoid having to put money out of pocket, or also to borrow money, even worse. So the program has been highly successful. It's going on the 3rd year now. The numbers of students receiving awards have increased over the years, starting with 20,000 in the first year, going up to 25,000 the second year. The 3rd year going to close to 32,000. And the difference with the enhanced tuition is that students who participate and are in private institutions can also apply to be able to receive. Most of the benefit comes for students whose families do not have the threshold to be able to use the generous program that TAP represents. So they have to pay out of pocket or borrow money to be able to fulfill the tuition obligations that they have. So it has been a welcome initiative by many, many families that otherwise wouldn't afford it.
So you're saying the numbers have increased
Yes.
despite the fact that we have declining enrollment?
Well, you know, the students that have applied, and obviously we have been flexible with the context of the pandemic, but students that have been approved for the programs and have been able to maintain all the requirements continue benefiting from this program.
one of the previous hearings, I think it was the last one, the York College, a CUNY student described problems with the full-time equivalency requirements, the 15 credits. Can you address that issue?
Well, we have, the driver of this program is really in-time completion, the way that the program was crafted. But we have built in, within the law, flexibility that allows students, if they have circumstances that are limiting, whether they are health-related or economic-related, we have built-in flexibility for them to be able, if they needed to stop, to do so, obviously within the confines of that flexibility. So that's been very, very helpful. And of course, it's on an individual basis that we look into that flexibility, but that has been very helpful. Plus, in the credits that they have to fulfill throughout the year, there are flexibilities also there for them to attend summer classes. And so there are flexibilities there for them to be able to fulfill their requirement.
And you testified a moment ago that the number of students who have applied for the ETA, the enhanced tuition, has increased?
Well,
Because that, as you know, those
yeah.
are questions that I always ask at the budget hearings.
yes. No, I was referring
And
specifically.
if you don't have that information available, but I will be asking that at the budget
Yeah, we'll
hearing.
be glad to provide for you. As a reminder, the enhanced tuition is driven by colleges opting into the program. So, that is a factor that comes into play when we look at the enhanced tuition as opposed to the Excelsior Scholarship. I was referring more to the Excelsior Scholarship success.
Because they were announced with great hype and anticipation. And I'm just asking really whether it's lived up to the expectations. And
Yeah,
I guess you're saying yes.
I think the mindset when enhanced tuition was established was that what we were extending as a state as an opportunity to students in public universities, we wanted also to extend, but the law really stipulated that the colleges, the institution needed to opt in to those programs.
Last question. I think when we passed the budget in April, there was a provision in there, and you touched on it, I think, very briefly, the hold harmless idea, concept for the students with the TAP awards. And you're saying that that too has been successful?
Well, if I understood the question, there's built-in flexibility and for us to acknowledge the impact that the pandemic has had on students and families in order for us to make sure the students do not lose, the impact doesn't really affect them in a negative way.
Exactly, that was
Yeah,
the purpose.
yeah.
First time I've heard whole save harmless applied
Yeah.
to individuals, usually it's to school districts or
Yeah.
colleges.
We took that into
But I
consideration.
think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next? Do you have any questions?
I do, but
Yeah.
John can go.
All right, Senator
Okay.
Gorin. Go alphabetically.
Okay. Thank you very much for all the great work that you're doing. Many of the tuition programs, system programs we have do not benefit the vast majority of people that I represent on Long Island. TAP in particular, with the $80,000, household income level, and Long Island's cost of living, being so high, and that number is way below the current median household income, and it probably will be even a bigger gap when we see the final census figures. Would you support raising that? And, what would be your suggestion on that?
Well, it has gone beyond the 80,000, which was the initial, rollout for the Excelsior Scholarship. I believe it's gone to $125,000 and open greater
Is that
opportunity for
totally being
families.
done now?
Yes. So it has gone up, and there was consideration of being even a higher number, but up to now, it's 125,000.
So it's
which
totally at
has allowed-
125?
has
Anybody
allowed-
could apply now?
Yes.
Okay.
Senator Lou?
No, I don't have any questions, Madam Chair, but I want to thank Dr. Linares, as always, for his many years of service in the Higher Education Services Corporation and in many other capacities.
It's good to see you on that side, and it's all the same work, serving the people and our students.
I will just make a quick note. It has nothing to do with you, but if tuition hadn't gone up so much, then you probably would have less to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next person to testify is Dr. Rodriguez, the president of the State University of New York at Albany.
Good afternoon, everybody. Muy buenas tardes, as we say in Puerto Rico. Chair Stavisky, Senator Gorin, and Senator Liu, thank you so much for inviting me to attend this afternoon's oral testimony on maintaining quality, equity, and affordability in public higher education. As you know, as a nation and throughout the state of New York, the Capital District, and at the University at Albany, we have faced many unforeseen challenges, all of which were exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. We know these continue to be very difficult times, and we deeply appreciate your commitment to and investments in public higher education. I would like to begin by providing a brief overview of the University at Albany. Regarding the university, anchoring the next chapter in UAlbany's 177-year history of 5 core strategic priorities: student excellence, student success, research excellence, diversity and inclusion, internationalization, and engagement in service. Since 2005, UAlbany has been among the nation's 131 Carnegie Classified Research One doctoral granting universities. Also, UAlbany recently joined a select group of colleges and universities in receiving the Carnegie Foundation classification, which recognizes our commitment to community engagement. As the Capital Region's one and only public research university, UAlbany drives tremendous economic growth among our communities, with an estimated annual impact of more than $1 billion. As of fall 2020, UAlbany had 13,100 students, 4,500 graduate, doctoral, and professional students, and more than 1,000 instructional faculty. Access and success are central to the University at Albany. Among our 3,000-plus first-year students this year, 43% identify as underrepresented minorities, and among our undergraduate student body, 33% are first-generation college students. Indeed, the University at Albany is one of the most diverse Research One institutions in the country. The university has a wide array of academic and research strengths. UAlbany's long-standing strength in health sciences, punctuated by a unique 35-year partnership with the New York State Department of Health, has been highlighted during the COVID-19 pandemic. The university's pioneering R&A Institute and its leading School of Public Health developed critical surveillance testing and contact tracing programs throughout this pandemic. UAlbany's leadership in health equity and minority health disparities resulted in a prestigious $10 million grant from the National Institute of Health for the university's acclaimed Center for the Elimination of Minority Health Disparities, widely recognized for our longstanding academic and research strengths in areas including atmospheric and environmental sciences, education, political science, public policy, and public health, among others. We have also made significant investments in emerging and new strategic areas, including weather and climate sciences, health sciences, minority health disparities, emergency preparedness, and cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. However, running labs and research centers and funding graduate students to support research is indeed expensive. While research does bring in external funding, there are startup and maintenance costs that will never be fully recovered by the external funding. For example, standing up a College of Engineering and ETech, a building that we just did the ribbon cutting last week, with a focus on research, are very good examples on this. We had to make significant investments in faculty, equipment, and labs to make that possible. We also had to borrow over $70 million to build ETech, our new academic facility designed to advance interdisciplinary research and to increase collaborations with industry and other external partners. These are costs largely not incurred by non-research intensive institutions. One of the top concerns today among college presidents is the mental health of our students and employees. At UAlbany, we are on track to handle a record number of clinical student appointments this semester. As part of this effort, UAlbany recently joined 8 universities in the United States being designated as a health-promoting university. This group has a focus on transforming the health and sustainability of current and future societies and enhancing well-being. As you know, affordability and retention are inextricably linked, and affordability is central to UAlbany's accessibility and the life-altering potential that an education provides. This is particularly true given that 42% of full-time undergraduate students at UAlbany are eligible for need-based Pell Grants, and nearly 23% of our students have an expected family contribution of $0 towards the cost of their education. UAlbany is affordable, but financial hardships remain a burden and can be a significant barrier to student success. To combat this, UAlbany has financed microgrants to help students avoid or remove registration holds from their accounts. We have also invested unprecedented amounts of funds for undergraduate and graduate scholarships, EOP, and retention and persistence initiatives. Additionally, the university launched a student emergency fund in 2018, which supports students who may experience a financial emergency. To date, requests for these funds have increased by 400% as a result of the pandemic. Also, in recognition of the fact that college students are often faced with significant financial challenges, the university has stood up several resources to help meet their basic needs, including our on-campus food pantry and a professional clothing facility. Despite these challenges, the university at Albany has been recognized nationally as one of the top institutions in the United States for the upward mobility of its students, for the success of Black or African American and Latino and Latina students, as well as for our achievements in diversity, equity, and inclusion, not to mention our outstanding academic and research programs. However, like many universities across the nation, UAlbany is struggling to maintain affordability, accessibility, and quality. This year's enacted budget presents challenges in meeting the costs we have in order to excel. The absence of additional resources, be it direct state support or sustainable tuition plan, cannot help us keep up with inflation. Of course, we want to try to minimize the cost of higher education for our students, but additional revenues are needed. For example, our employee salaries negotiated by the state through collective bargaining increase our expenses by roughly $6 million annually. However, the university has done its part. Over the last year, we have realized nearly $25 million in permanent savings without retrenchments, layoffs, or furloughs. And we are targeting another $8 million in cuts, but that may not be enough, and this has been a very painful process for our faculty, our staff, and our students. The federal stimulus money received by the university, while critical and very much appreciated, is by no means a windfall. The funding from the 3 stimulus bills that our campus can actually utilize totaled $47 million, while our pandemic-related expenses and lost revenue as a consequence of the pandemic totaled $63 million to date. The stimulus funds have made the hole that we need to climb out of much shallower, but not all those losses have been recovered. A bright spot is that the enacted state budget increases funding for EOP and TAP funding for students while setting a course for the elimination of the so-called TAP gap starting in 22-23, which we deeply appreciate the states and the legislators and the elected officials' support in this regard. However, to maintain and increase quality, equity, and affordability in public higher education at UAlbany, we need more direct investment by the state in operating aid and capital funding. Also, at UAlbany, we are also redoubling our efforts in terms of increasing recruitment, retention, and other revenue-generating initiatives at the university. UAlbany has made great progress, has excellent accomplishments, and continues to significantly impact our communities. We have also successfully navigated one of the most difficult, complicated, and complex times for institutions of higher education. But many challenges remain, as well as many opportunities. Thank you again for your leadership and for your strong support of higher education and the students that we serve, and for the opportunity to address you today. I look forward to working with you in the coming weeks and the coming months, and I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of questions. What happened to your enrollment during the pandemic period?
First of all, this fall, we had the largest incoming class in the university's history. So that's a good thing, with 43% of the students being from underrepresented minority communities, and the quality of students also increasing. That said, as many institutions, or almost all institutions of higher education across the country, international enrollments plummeted across the board. So we were hard hit by the declining international enrollment. We also saw significant declines in terms of out-of-state students that are staying closer to home to afford an education. We also know that across the board, students of color were significantly impacted by COVID-19. As I said before, as one of the most diverse research-run institutions in the country, our students were also disproportionately impacted by COVID. So at the end of the day, we've been either stable or slight decline in our overall enrollments as a consequence of the pandemic. And we've been working very hard through scholarships and other types of funding to attract more students to the university.
And you're back to in-person?
And we're back to in-person classes, for the exception of the courses and programs we would typically offer.
Right.
But we're back to pre-pandemic times in terms of in-person.
You require, I assume, proof of vaccination?
We do. 98% of our students are fully vaccinated.
Perfect.
91% of our faculty and staff are fully vaccinated.
So the students lead the faculty.
Exactly. We could mandate vaccinations for students, but not for faculty and staff. So we highly and strongly encourage them. Our faculty and staff have been phenomenal, and we continue to with all the other health care measures like wearing masks and things of that nature that are appropriate in these times.
Have you noticed a change in student readiness to deal with the various college courses that are presented?
This varies from program to program, more so in the STEM fields. What we have actually experienced more than anything is, remember, students for the most part were practically 2 years, a year and a half out of doing remote education. The challenge of coming back to the classroom and the challenges of being in person, right? People are adjusting to those challenges, and so that can be overwhelming for students, for faculty, and staff. So those are the major issues that we're navigating, and we've put in place a variety of initiatives at the university focusing on enhancing retention, on enhancing persistence, and graduation rates so that we can deal with some of the issues that we are experiencing at UAlbany.
Last question. What do you consider the greatest challenge facing the university, if you had to pick one? And how would you hope that we deal with that challenge?
I think it's difficult to pick one, so if you may allow, I'll cheat a little bit and give you 3, if you don't mind. I think the first one, I'm a demographer. I study demography, population changes. I think the #1 challenge for the state as a whole, and certainly for higher education, is declining population in the state of New York. Fortunately, we have increasing life expectancy, which means aging of the population, but it also means declining in terms of the college-age population. So that is the demography and the increase for students across the state, because there are a high density of institutions of higher education per students in the state. That poses a major challenge. A second challenge for me, and I would say for 100% of the presidents across the country, is the mental health issues that our students are confronting. It certainly was always among the top 5 issues and priorities for universities, institutions of higher education. That with COVID has gone up to #1. As I said, at UAlbany, and we're not an exception, we are breaking all types of records in terms of the services we have to provide to these students. And the third challenge is the need, if we're going to increase affordability, quality, access, and success, we do need additional state support in order to continue to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Liu, question?
I can always ask questions.
Did you-
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Yeah. You can't, thank you very much for joining us, Mr. President. The state budget doesn't give your college or your university a budget per se, right? That's given to you by SUNY. So to the extent that the state budget can provide more resources for SUNY as a whole, that's done at the SUNY level. And then you've got to figure out how to get your allocation from the SUNY board. So when you say that more support is needed for SUNY Albany or for the University at Albany school, that ask has to be made of SUNY as opposed to state government in general and the legislature, right? You can only advocate for SUNY as a whole. You can't really advocate directly for Albany.
Well, I think the answer to that is twofold. You're absolutely right. SUNY gets the allocation, then they redistribute. The higher the allocation SUNY gets for these types of initiatives, the more they are able to reallocate. And then we have special initiatives and special projects that we've talked to many of our legislators and our senators to support at the University at Albany.
And when you say that, for example, there's a research institution like University at Albany has costs that some of the non-research campuses would not need to bear. That, again, is not really, is that an issue that the legislature can address, or is that something that has to be addressed by SUNY as a whole?
I think higher education, particularly SUNY and CUNY higher education, fall under state government. And so I think we all have shared responsibility in this regard. So I strongly believe that our elected officials who are strongly committed to higher education certainly have a critical role in this process. SUNY has a role in this process. And as president of the University at Albany, along with my faculty, staff, and students, we have a role in this process. And so that's why we are also working incredibly hard hard to increase the funding to the University at Albany through research expenditures, whether it be funding from the National Science Foundation, the National Institutes of Health, et cetera, through philanthropy as well, because I think it is a joint effort. We can't depend exclusively on one source of funding for the university, and we certainly don't want to put this on the back of the students, right? And so we need to look at alternate ways, state funding, alternative funding that the university can raise through philanthropy and research, as well as the support that's provided by the state through SUNY.
I imagine that some of the smaller campuses that don't have research functions, they would claim that they don't have the opportunity for synergies that a large campus like Albany would have. So there might be some ways that Albany would be able to get more bang for the buck because of its size that a small institution that does not have to bear the overhead costs of research would not be able to get. Right? So don't things balance out, or no?
That may indeed be the case. On the other hand, the vision, the mission, and the goals of the University at Albany is quite different from community colleges and comprehensive universities. I think we all play a critical role. One of our major roles is to advance science, technology, to make significant contributions to a better understanding of climate, of the environment, of emergency preparedness, minority health disparities, public health, mental health, and we do that through our research contributions. And so one of our things that we do as a Research One institution is we put the state of New York on the map, both nationally and internationally, through the research and through the scholarship that our faculty do. And I think that's a great role for the state of New York and for public institutions to play. And so that is a critical role of a Research One institution.
I don't disagree with you, Dr. Rodriguez. I think it's well worth it, but you're saying that it costs money.
It does.
Okay, and we need to be able to pay for the ability to contribute to human knowledge and the advancement of society.
Exactly. And I think, but the responsibility, it's not only, I'm not only saying that it is only the state responsibility, the SUNY responsibility, it's also our responsibility, right? And that's why UAlbany is only one of, it's one of only 131 research institutions in the country. We play a critical role in advancing science, technology, and discoveries and innovation, some things that we should be very proud of. As a consequence of that, we work very hard through our faculty members, et cetera, to increase the funding from at the federal level, NIH, NSF, NOAA, and all those other acronyms. That is part of my responsibility as well. So I'm saying as president of the University at Albany, this is a shared responsibility, if you will, among many actors at the state level, including the University at Albany.
Thank you. This came up at other hearings as well that Chair Stavisky has been convening around the state, and that is the idea of attracting international students to campus. I understand the need for a well-rounded student body. I think that's for everybody's benefit. But I'm concerned that there might be too much financial incentive to attract international students, or attracting international students not for the sake of diversifying the student body, but for financial reasons. Is there any kind of control to make sure that doesn't happen? Because I don't think that's a good reason to attract international students.
And I wholeheartedly agree with you. As I mentioned in my initial part of the testimony, we have 5 core priorities at the University at Albany, and 2 of those are diversity, equity, and inclusion, and internationalization. We believe that those 2 really are important to significantly transform our university. We live in a global society. Our students, our local students, New York State students need to be exposed to the culture, the language, the contributions of international students and out-of-state students. At the end of the day, prior to the pandemic, about 10% of our students were international students. That is, over 90% of our students are students that are resident in the state of New York. So I think we need to continue to focus on that. Yes, they do bring higher tuition dollars. I acknowledge that, but that's not my purpose in terms of bringing international students. My purpose is to continue to enhance the education of all our students. And in the same vein that we want to bring international students to UAlbany, we also want to send our students abroad to study abroad, et cetera. Of course, this has been hampered by the pandemic, and for the past year and a half, we have not been able to send students abroad. But this is part of being in a global economy, a global society, and students that are not exposed to those types of education experiences are missing a lot in terms of their education and their future contributions as engaged global citizens.
Madam Chair, may I ask just one more quick question? And that is that I found your comments interesting, the comments that you offered as a demographer. And your comments talked about how the population of New York is declining. So as a demographer, do you see that as a long-term trend? And what might be causes of that trend, and how do we reverse that trend?
Well, one of the things that we studied, first of all, we studied the changes in mortality patterns, which is a good news for the state of New York, right? You have increasing life expectancy, which means increasing elderly population, but at the same time, that means lower levels of fertility, right? So people are having less kids, which means that then you have less students going up through the education pipeline, which is a critical issue. As a demographer, and as we study these population changes, across the world, we find that once a state, a country across the world reaches a certain level of fertility, that is low levels of fertility, those levels hardly ever change. The U.S. was an exception with the baby boom in the 1950s and 1960s, but once you reach those levels, they're unlikely to go up for a variety of reasons. And so the only alternative to this really is sort of continuing to build, as New York is doing, the capital region is doing, on economic development and trying to attract new industries, new companies, new economic development initiatives that would in turn bring in people from out of state to work and live in the state of New York. Demographics, once they go at a certain level, it's hard to reverse them in terms of fertility and mortality and migration and things of that nature, but certainly the focus on economic revitalization and economic development is going to be key in the state of New York in order to try to reverse some of that population trend.
So New Yorkers aren't having enough kids, and we need to get the people from other places.
There's been a decline in fertility, yes. I think maybe I haven't looked at the recent numbers, so I don't know how it's stabilized, but that is the overall pattern, yes.
Okay. Thank you. I'm not sure that you want to characterize it as a decline in fertility as opposed to a decline in birth rates, right? There's a difference.
It all depends how you measure it.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it works out to be the same thing.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam
sir.
Chair.
I appreciate it, Senator.
Senator Gorin?
Thank you, Mr. President. The Chancellor spoke earlier of, I guess, a vision for continuing past the pandemic to have some sort of a mix of in-person learning, remote virtual options, or perhaps hybrids to accommodate, I guess, students. What's your vision for that?
And I think that's right. Prior to the pandemic, we have been working very steadily to try to increase and create new programs, particularly at the graduate level and some of the undergraduate level, master's and undergraduate degree programs that are fully online. So we know that there is a huge market out there. The Chancellor cited certain numbers, 50 million New York State residents taking online courses out of the state. We think we should be capturing those numbers. We also know that despite the increase in what people call the traditional 18 to 22 college age population, we know that the non-traditional, those 25 and over who are seeking higher education to complete their degree, to seek a master's degree, to get some certificates that would allow them for promotion and things of that nature in their job, they're full-time workers, right? So they can be in person. So developing programs of that nature that are fully online online is going to be critical for us as we move forward. We're just standing up what we call a professional continuing in education program aimed exactly at those goals. We will still be primarily an in-person campus. It's quite amazing. Once we decided we were coming back to in-person, our students showed up in full force, right? So students want to be on campus, they want to work, they want to study, they want to play on campus, and so that is critical. But we've also seen that students will also say, well, I would like to take 9 credits in person and maybe 3 or 6 credits online to have some of that hybrid component. So that is where we are moving to as well as an institution of higher education.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. President, and your staff.
Thank you all so very much.
For
It's
what
been a
you're doing
pleasure.
at
And
City
thanks
Hall.
again for your support of higher education. We greatly appreciate it.
While President is leaving, we have Dr. James Baldwin, the Senior Deputy Commissioner of Education Policy at the State Education Department, and Dr. William Murphy, Deputy Commissioner of Higher Education at the State Education Department.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You want to give them the signature? They want for you to tell them to go ahead.
Ready?
Yep.
Which-
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Stavisky, Senator Liu, Senator Garin. I'm Bill Murphy, Deputy Commissioner of Higher Education, and as introduced before, this is Jim Baldwin, the Department's Senior Deputy Commissioner for Education Policy. Thank you for inviting us to speak on maintaining quality, equity, and affordability in public higher education throughout the pandemic and beyond. I would like to begin by thanking the legislature for its tremendous support for higher education over the years, and especially for the recent years' unprecedented level of funding for our colleges and universities. During the pandemic, the Board of Regents and Department implemented a number of policy, regulatory, and stakeholder engagement initiatives to serve the students and faculty all across the P20 system. Some notable examples include the guidance and policy initiatives related to teacher preparation and professional licensure degree programs. These allowed students to engage in clinical internships, seek emergency certifications, and ensure the vital pipeline for teacher and healthcare professionals remained intact. Our opportunity and scholarship programs represent a critical link to higher education during the pandemic and beyond. The work of these programs and the legislature's continued support and funding have made a difference. As you may know, the department oversees and administers several of these opportunity programs. First, the Liberty Partnership Program, LPP, enable more than 15,000 middle and high school students in 46 programs to receive tutoring, counseling, college and career exploration opportunities through partnerships among institutions of higher education, schools, and community-based organizations throughout the state. LPP is New York's only state-funded dropout prevention program directly connected to higher education. This program is more relevant today than ever before to keep our at-risk high school students engaged during the COVID-19 pandemic. Second, science and technology entry programs, STEP, serve more than 12,500 middle and high school students from over 260 school districts in 56 programs. These programs encourage students from historically underrepresented and economically disadvantaged populations to enter college and participate in STEM content areas, health-related fields, and the licensed professions. Like STEP, the collegiate science and technology entry programs, C-STEP, at SUNY, CUNY, and independent colleges throughout the state provide academic enrichment and research experience in STEM content areas. More than 8,100 undergraduate and graduate students from historically underrepresented and economically disadvantaged populations are served through 58 programs. The Higher Education Opportunity Programs, HEOP, enable New York's independent colleges and universities to provide over 4,800 students with structured academic support services Such services include pre-entry summer programs, counseling, tutoring, and remedial developmental coursework through 53 programs. Students also receive supplemental financial and tuition assistance toward their college expenses. Additionally, the Foster Youth College Success Initiative enables SUNY CUNY and the independent colleges to provide additional support services and financial resources to approximately 1,000 college students who are orphans or have spent time in foster care. Finally, the Teacher Opportunity Corps, or TOC2 program, enables individuals from historically underrepresented and economically disadvantaged population to pursue teaching careers and increase teacher diversity. This program also bolsters the retention of highly qualified individuals who value equity and reflect the diversity both inside and outside of our classrooms. TOC2 serves approximately 550 undergraduates and graduate students through 17 colleges and universities who have partnered with more than 50 districts and schools. In December, the Board of Regents anticipates advancing part of its 2022-23 budget and legislative priorities, a proposal to increase funding for our opportunity programs by approximately $10 million over 21-22 funding levels. This additional funding will allow us to continue to support and expand the number of students being served by these critical programs. We will also request approximately $177,000 for additional staff to ensure that all opportunity programs are properly evaluated for effectiveness. New this year, the legislature provided $2 million to enhance supports and services for students with disabilities for post-secondary success, which has been a Regent's priority for several years. This funding will help provide additional supports and services to expand opportunities for students with disabilities enrolled at degree-granting institutions of higher education. As part of the Regent's 22-23 budget and legislative priorities, we will request $13 million in additional funding, including a small portion to hire critical staff to implement and oversee the program, and $13 million to serve additional students with disabilities pursuing post-secondary study. Currently, there are almost 80,000 identified students with disabilities attending New York State degree-granting colleges and universities, so the need for this funding is tremendous. We thank you for supporting this Regent's priority, and we hope to continue to work with you to expand this important initiative in the future. And finally, we'd like to highlight one additional budget priority the Regents expect to advance to modernize the department's program approval system. The department is responsible for reviewing and approving academic programs at New York State colleges and universities to ensure they meet quality standards. Over the past several years, the department has implemented several improvements and efficiency in our program registration processes to improve the timelines for the review and approval of programs. In 2021, our Office of College and University Evaluation, OQ, has completed the majority of its program reviews within 30 to 60 days. However, OQ's technological system is an outdated patchwork of documents that are submitted through email and housed in an internal-only database through a more than 20-year-old Unisys mainframe system. To address this, the department would like to modernize its program review technology system by piggybacking onto the Office of Professions' current modernization efforts. Since OQ and OP currently share an outdated program approval and registration system, the department has requested Division of Budget approval to allocate $8.5 million to update technology and build an online system for evaluating and approving college and university programs from the $100 million appropriation included in the 21-22 enacted budget for agency-related technology projects. The new system will also streamline communication between evaluators and institutions of higher education. And the result would be a more transparent, interactive system to track program approval timelines and benchmark, thus enhancing the two important functions of quality assurance and timeliness for higher education program approval. We look forward to working on this and all the vitally important diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and programs across the state. As we emerge from the pandemic, the disparate impacts on the most disadvantaged, underrepresented groups take on an even greater sense of urgency. As such, our opportunity, scholarship, and innovative degree programs offer some of the best avenues for building back better and strengthening our P20 system of education in New York State. I thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today, and we hope to continue to work together during the coming year to enact these important priorities, and we look forward to any questions you may have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
let me just go into two areas that you touched on, and you've answered part of each issue. I know that you are having staffing issues. In fact, we will pass legislation, but we are, whether you realize it or not, very mindful of the fact that you may not have the personnel available to address these issues. And I'm thinking particularly of one bill that was chaptered, and yet it had an effective date, I think it's 90 days, which is one way we try to be mindful of the problems of staffing. Do you have any unfilled positions right now?
Are you talking in particular, Sheriff Stavisky, to like college program approval or something a little
Either
more
one.
broad? Yeah,
Either
we,
the OP or,
yeah, we do have unfilled positions right now. I know in our Office of College and University Evaluation, we typically are fully staffed at like 19 to 20, and we're down a few right now still. However, and in our teacher certification office, Office of Teaching Initiatives, during this pandemic, we were down over 20% staff. So I will say this, though, things in recent months have been moving much quicker for our waivers. We've been able to onboard more people, and I will say it's a much brighter picture than it was like when we were really in the middle of, having frozen waivers and not being able to fill these real vital positions.
If I could, Senator. Department-wide, you are correct. We have been dealing with very significant decreases in the number of positions that the department has been able to fill. With a recent action in terms of lifting the hiring freeze, we are in the process of recruiting for many positions. During the pandemic, we lost approximately 150 positions at the department. We are in the process of trying to fill many of them. Over the course of roughly the last decade, the department is down some 700 positions. So obviously that has a very significant impact on the department's ability to respond to the needs of the public and to provide the kind of support to our clients, our constituents, our stakeholders. And in the upcoming budget request of the Board of Regents, you will see that many of those shortcomings are being addressed.
but you're still asking for additional funding to hire those positions?
We have, currently, we are able to fill positions without getting pre-approval. The department's cash ceiling, which governs how much we can spend, has not been adjusted. So that is a limitation that remains. And then in addition to that, we will be requesting resources that will enable the department to fulfill its responsibility in a more responsive fashion to the public, to the school districts, and to the students that we are charged with serving as the state education department.
I have found in the past that there have been issues involving the allocation of funding, and then at the last minute, it's used for something else. If additional funding is provided, how can we be sure it's being used for either the Office of the Professions or the Office of Higher Ed or whatever?
Well, I'm not aware of any specific instances where funding has been provided and not used for its intended purpose. However, I can tell you that with the leadership of Commissioner Rosa and Chancellor Young, that we have a commitment to two pillars. One is advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout our educational system. And the second one is improving the support and the level of customer service that we provide to the public.
I remember many years ago, we had a fee increase in the Office of Professions. And this was probably 10 years ago, but I will never forget the then commissioner coming to the floor of the Senate and saying to me, we can't afford to pay for the regent. I think this was the case. They can't afford to pay for the regents' exams. Can we use the money appropriated from the fees meant to modernize the processing of applications in the Office of the Professions? Can we use that to pay for the regents' exams? And I remember thinking to myself, boy, if I said no, there'd be an awful lot of happy students out there. But instead, we agreed. And we do recognize that you have a very difficult job, and we really don't want to make your job any more difficult. We want to work together on this issue. Secondly, real quick about the program approval process. I've been working on legislation to try to figure out how we can, if not speed it up, at least make it more transparent. And one of the suggestions was to notify applicants along the way the status of their application. What part of the approval process, that sort of thing. After the testimony at the budget hearing, I guess it was this year, it just seems like last year, where charges were made that it takes 6 months, 8, I forgot the number, to approve, there was a lot of back and forth. Because that really was inexcusable. I made a number of suggestions to not you particularly, but some of your predecessors, on how I thought we could speed up the process. But this is something I know that will come up at the budget hearing. And we're going to be asking you to provide the numbers, et cetera, and to refute any charges that are made. Because we recognize the difficulties that you have, and particularly when we pass new legislation, it does have an impact, and we're mindful of that. So I thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Jim's,
Are you
it's
okay?
Jim's turn to go first.
Jim? Senator Warren?
Well, a comment, I guess it's a question. I was pleased to see that you're going to make a request for $13 million more in additional funding for students with disabilities for post-secondary studies. So what will be accomplished with that additional money? Are there populations with particular disabilities that are not being reached now? How will this work? Because it's, it doesn't seem like a lot of money in the overall budget, but it's a significant increase that you're requesting.
Yeah, I think what we've heard is that it's really not going to target specific disabilities because it's going to go across the spectrum, whether it's a student with learning disabilities or physical disabilities. However, every time that we get asked for, like, what are the resources available to post-secondary students and what are the regulations and laws, a lot of it goes back to, like, the federal government. And we feel we can be much more proactive there's a lot of issues when you have students transitioning to the colleges. They may have been in a school district with an IEP, and then you're in a completely different world, and there's a lot of areas that you can start to, even with training of staff, with universal design, making sure that students get these periods where they can get introduced to the campus and really start to understand, where on the campus, they'd start to get familiarity with the campus. So a really broad range of, SUNY CUNY and the independents can decide how is it that you think you can best spend this. And you're right, the funding right now, it's a great start because this is the first year we were actually successful in getting it. It only comes out to about $25 or $26 per student with disability. It's a start. We're getting the money out to them, but I think definitely you're right that it's very important to have this kind of broad range of, have the colleges and the systems decide how they want to make sure that they're able to best use that money for what they see are the, the priorities for identifying where they've had gaps with serving post-secondary
There
students
might
with
even be
disabilities.
more services in some cases than
Right.
additional programming.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have Professor Fred Cowell, the president of UUP, the United University Professions, part of NYSET. Thank you for coming to all of these hearings, Professor. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Sure.
And I'd like to say we are the best part of NYSET.
Who stamped his card for each hearing that he attends?
Oh, that's it. Good.
We don't take attendance now.
Okay. Chairwoman Stavisky, Senator Liu, Senator Garan, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Dr. Frederick Kowal, and I have the distinct privilege of being president of United University Professions, and it is my honor to represent the 37,000 academic and professional faculty at the State University of New York, along with 4,000 retired members of UUP. I also would like to thank each of you for having the wisdom and the courage to take the steps necessary to institute a fairer tax system in our state during last year's budget session. The results are showing that it was a necessary step and one that has provided is continuing to provide the revenue that is so necessary to address longstanding funding issues in SUNY. The moment is auspicious. We have a new governor who knows and values SUNY, and a legislature that is committed to our great public university systems. I do believe that the time is now. Facing over a decade of austerity, facing a nation that is divided, democracy under assault, a worsening climate emergency, and a relentless pandemic, the time must be now to address these crises through a well-funded public university system. I speak to you today on a tragic anniversary. November 22nd, as many of us know, is the date that President Kennedy was assassinated. I'm going to offer you a quote from the president now. Our deep spiritual confidence that this nation will survive the perils of today, which may well be with us for decades to come, compels us to invest in our nation's future, to consider and meet our obligations to our children and the numberless generations that will follow. And that is what really is driving UUP's agenda this year, to address the needs of students and patients. First, the need is clear to invest in the students by investing in the campuses where they live and learn and where we work. The best start is to inject $150 million in operating aid into the SUNY system. This will bring in more full-time faculty, advisors, counselors, mentors that will lead to student success through recruitment, but especially matriculation and completion. Second, the tuition assistance program is incredibly successful and an incredibly important program. It is a historic and long-standing effort to provide access to students from under-resourced areas of New York. Today, I urge the Senate, the Assembly, and the Governor to fast forward the 4-year timeline and eliminate the TAP gap now. We should forego a phased-in approach to shrinking the TAP gap and solve this compounding problem once and for all. This approach will bring resources, needed resources, to the SUNY campuses that are fulfilling its core mission by accepting TAP-eligible students, providing educational opportunity to thousands who might not otherwise be able to afford a SUNY education, and giving a pathway to upward economic mobility to students and their families. Third, it is time to make the Excelsior Scholarship Program what the times and the public demand. We must tear down the facade that the Excelsior Scholarship was a free college program. It is a last dollar program that does not pay student fees or room and board, and covers less than half the real cost to attend college. We can begin to fix this program to better serve our students and their families and utilize the significant funds that have gone unspent since the program's creation. Fourth, New York needs to create a permanent foundation of public funding for public higher education through the creation of a university endowment. Dozens of other state university systems across the country have created such funds. This endowment would provide a long-term funding source to rebuild SUNY academic departments, which have been depleted by chronic underfunding. It would also allow SUNY to grow degree programs and hire the diverse faculty and staff that our students deserve, while also addressing the long-standing healthcare and climate crises. Fifth, UUP does support the reinstitution of a 5-year capital plan for SUNY, but let me be clear, we fiercely object to the campus matching program in the current capital budget. That program has set up a system based on the existing financial means of a campus rather than their physical infrastructure needs. It leaves financially struggling campuses without an avenue to secure funding for necessary and potentially dire capital needs. Also, let's make sure that the funding that is used for capital will also serve to begin addressing the climate crisis we face through green engineering and transformation programs. On healthcare, well, quite simply, if we cannot address the structural problems in our healthcare system now, during a pandemic, when over 750,000 Americans have died, I'm not sure when we will address it. I'm reminded of what President Obama said after the Newtown massacre. If we don't address gun control after 25 little children are massacred, when will we? Well, we are facing a pandemic, and SUNY's teaching hospitals have led the way in helping alleviate the illness ravaging our state. However, Madam Chair, as you spoke about very early on today, the fact is the SUNY teaching hospitals bear a cost that no other agency bears. This year, it's approximately $70 million, and that is the debt servicing of these institutions. It needs to be done. The state must take up this expense so that those resources can be used for the benefit of our patients and the students who will become the next generation of healthcare professionals. Additionally, several years ago, despite the best efforts of this legislature, Governor Cuomo was able to eliminate what was then called the subsidy for the SUNY teaching hospitals. We call for the reinstatement of what should be called critical mission funding for the healthcare and education they provide. You have heard earlier today that we are facing a dire shortage of nurses across the board, across our country. In fact, what we are looking at is a crisis in professional staffing in all professions. Data from a 2019 Association of American Medical Colleges survey tells us that many states across the country could see an estimated shortage as great as 124,000 physicians by 2034. Additionally, right here in New York, we will see the greatest shortage of any state in the nation of medical support professionals, such as medical assistants, clinical lab technicians, and physical therapists by 2026. We have, in fact, just heard, it's been in the media, we heard it reported from our representatives at Upstate Medical. They are facing a dire shortage of respiratory therapists, which during a pandemic that attacks the respiratory system is a true crisis. In light of that, we support what the Chancellor spoke of earlier, and that is an expansion of the medical EOP program. It is a means by which we will bring in more diversity into the healthcare professionals while also expanding the numbers of those who we are desperately needed to address all of the healthcare issues we face. Once again, I want to thank you for this time, but most importantly, for your strong, really permanent support for SUNY and for public higher education. You are among the strongest advocates we have in this state, and I personally thank you for all your work on behalf of my members, but on behalf of our students and our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kowal. The SUNY, I think it's called the Prodigy Program, it was mentioned earlier. It's about 2 years old. And then it was announced, and then the pandemic struck. How do you see the implementation, and what efforts do you see being made to increase the diversity? The
I think,
faculty?
yes, thank you, Senator. I think the Prodigy program conceptually was a good start in terms of recognizing the fact that the lack of diversity in the faculty and staff, specifically among underrepresented communities of color, African Americans, Latino, and Native Americans predominantly. But the problem that I had with the Prodigy program, and I still do, is that it is intended to bring along more diverse faculty and staff basically as openings occur within SUNY. I think that, and there have been some notable hirings. I know there were a couple at New Paltz, at the college at New Paltz, which was good. But I believe that it's necessary for SUNY to move aggressively. A couple of years ago, in our NY25 program that we proposed, an aggressive agenda for SUNY, we proposed that by the year 2025, 25% of the faculty and staff in SUNY should be made up of those who come from underrepresented communities. We're nowhere near that. The chancellor showed those numbers, and he admitted we're not there. It's going to take a heavy emphasis on recruitment, but then, and I think you all know this, the difficulty is in retaining that faculty and staff, because you have individuals working through a pipeline, getting their PhD, they can now take on a role in a faculty. What oftentimes happens is institutions where the pay is much better then raid SUNY campuses and take those highly qualified individuals to work at their institutions. It's the retention that is as much of a problem as recruitment.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about your New York 25 plan. That was going to be my second question. How's it going?
Well, I think that we have certainly raised issues that are resonating. You know, it was, as the Chancellor mentioned earlier, he praised us for the medical EOP program. Well, that was part of NY25. It was the idea of the need to bring diversity into the healthcare professionals and to bring about much broader representation in all professions. And that was part and parcel of that NY25. And so we can point to that as a success. We can also point to the fact that, happily, we heard the Chancellor earlier talk about the need for much more funding for SUNY. We're on the same page there. But what there is, the need is extreme in order to begin to, as President Biden would say, build back better. I think there's an acknowledgement of that. And what NY25 has always been is basically be a lodestar for us to shoot for ambitious goals. And whether we achieve them or not, to make the effort to get there, I believe that is what is important as well.
Thank you. Sometimes these are done incrementally. And in fact, about a year ago, the Chancellor and I had a long discussion on how we can improve the diversity, not just in the faculty and staff, but in the students. Yes. So that when a student graduates from one of the healthcare professions, whether it be medicine, nursing, or whatever, they look like the clients and patients whom they're serving.
Absolutely. That is so crucial in healthcare. I was visiting at the University of Buffalo, where they have an outstanding medical school, the Jacobs School. And I was meeting with, this was prior to the pandemic, with leading students, a diverse group of students. And they talked about their experiences in communities of color in Buffalo and about the massive, the really remarkable difference in the reception that they got. These were overwhelmingly individuals who were African American, Latino, and they said the reaction they got from community members was much more positive than physicians who were white, who were in those communities and could not reach patients. And we saw that happening during the pandemic, during the worst days of the pandemic, and also in attempts to vaccinate populations. in native country, in reservations in the West that I know well, the reason that the vaccination rates are so high is because the individuals in the community who are both doing inoculating but also spreading the information are of the same nation. You know, on the Crow Nation, it's Crow. And so that has led to great success, and that's what's needed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any questions for President Cowell. I think that you've been attending all of our hearings, so we've heard what you have said, and you've represented the faculty well. I would only say, well, you know, I guess maybe one thing that you can chime in on is the university's plans to reverse the trend of enrollment declines. We talked a little, or I spoke a little bit about it with the chancellor earlier. He seems to think that, well, it's just part of a national trend and there's not much we could do about it. Do you think there's anything we could do about it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, this is a solvable problem. And I think what, if I may be so bold, what was
Please
lost
be bold. Yeah.
There's rare instances when I need to be told that, Senator, but thank you. What was lost in the conversation is fees and room and board. That students from the lowest economic standing who come to SUNY, the fact that they still have to pay because of the costs of certain fees and room and board and so forth, that's unconscionable. And so it is why I feel very passionately that the Excelsior program needs to be reformed so that it is truly free college, but with a means test. I feel very strongly that someone who is a millionaire should not be able to, or a child of a millionaire should not be able to get into a SUNY school for free. They have the means to pay. But I believe for those who are the working poor, those who are first-generation students, those who are coming in with the desire to improve their lot and their families, but come from resource situations that are stressed, they need to have this opportunity. It is an absolute necessity for the long-term addressing of the economic gap that, yes, the Chancellor pointed out, is growing worse. We all know that. Well,
So
here's an avenue.
Would you say then that the cost of the students are the #1 reason why enrollment has declined? I mean, the chancellor seems to not want to admit, for whatever reason, that that's a major factor. I think it's a major factor.
Oh, absolutely. It is absolutely a major factor. Is it a factor that is exclusive among all others? No. Is it the most important factor? Well, I know that the Chancellor mentioned they were doing some research. I'm looking forward to hearing what they find out that to be, what the answers turn out to be. I do think it's a mix. I think demographics matter. But notice something, Senator. When the Chancellor spoke, and actually when the President of the University of Albany spoke, they talked about the fact that the university centers are doing very well. Well, those are university centers with a great deal of resources. They have foundations. They have a lot of money at hand. My home campus at Cobleskill, the campus at Fredonia, the campus at Potsdam or Plattsburgh, they don't have those kinds of resources. And so to be able to recruit, to be able to support students, 57% of the students in SUNY come from the 5 boroughs or Long Island right now, across SUNY. And so you have got to make those institutions farther away from home very welcoming and also supportive of the work that they're doing as students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You mentioned Fredonia, Plattsburgh. Those are campuses close to the border of New York State. Are you suggesting, Cobleskill is not really.
No.
But I visited Fredonia in 2004 when there was a hearing on the nursing home, the shortage of nurses. And it was really a lovely place. And I got to know the president that day, and he said to me, "We're losing students to Ohio."
Yes.
You would assume Pennsylvania, perhaps, to Ohio. and there have been a lot of proposals to have a different tuition policy for border states, campuses that are close to New York's borders, whether Plattsburgh will lose to Vermont, et cetera. What is your feeling?
I think that's a necessity, absolutely. When I think it was Senator Young a few years ago proposed legislation, we supported that, absolutely. And it was targeting because she represented Fredonia and Alfred, which
Yeah,
are
but
two
she was
campuses.
in the majority at the time, so it shouldn't have been that difficult.
It should not have been, no. But absolutely, should there be a proposal like that, we would support it.
Thank you.
Just thank you very much. I think we've covered a wide range of topics, and you've been very helpful to our mission here. I guess there was one thing that struck me before. You said you have 4,000 retired members in your union, and I know we really need to hire more full-time faculty members, but is there a role for the 4,000 retired, maybe here and there, particularly since, as the Chancellor pointed out, there may be more opportunities for remote learning?
Yes, and actually, Senator, as a matter of fact, some of our skilled and very effective adjunct instructors are in fact retirees.
They are from that
Yeah, who
group.
are
Okay,
certainly
good.
welcome back to teach the courses they have always taught. When I started, well, I'm afraid to admit, but it was roughly 30 years ago at Cobleskill. The faculty member that I came in to replace was a retiree, but he continued to teach state and local politics. It was his specialization, and he taught it as a retiree, as an adjunct.
So a lot of that is going on now.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, it
that's
is.
good.
And it's necessary, and we also utilize them. They're such great advocates for SUNY, as I'm sure you know, because you've been visited by them from folks from Stony Brook. And yeah, they're a wealth to our union and to our university system.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much
Thank you,
for coming, as always.
and thank you, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday.
Same to you, sir. The only ones who disagree, I guess, are the turkeys.
Some of them get pardoned.
Yeah, two got peanut butter and jelly, made it out. We have Charles Krasansky, the Associate Vice President for State Relations at Cornell University, and Zoe Nelson, the Associate Director for State Relations at Cornell University.
Hello. Hey, Senator. Zoe will do the honors.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chair Stavisky, members of the Higher Education Committee, and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. Cornell is grateful for the deep partnership with our colleagues at SUNY and with the state agencies, the legislature, and the public. We value those partnerships and thank you for the continued support in the SUNY and agency budgets. Our state funding is used to support faculty in the contract colleges, the New York State College of Veterinary Medicine, the New York State College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, the New York State College of Industrial and Labor Relations, and the New York State College of Human Ecology, as well as extension appointments, New York Research, and New York State resident students attending our undergraduate degree programs. Cornell is committed to making a Cornell degree affordable for all of
Talking to your
our...
microphone a little close, that's it, thank you.
Cornell is committed to making a Cornell degree affordable for all of our accepted students through federal, state, and institutional funding and alumni giving. Cornell is able to meet the full demonstrated need of students attending any of our undergraduate colleges. Aid is applied to the total cost of attendance, which includes tuition, room and board, fees, books, supplies, and more. This commitment to affordability means that students who attend Cornell from families in the bottom 4 quintiles of income are receiving significant financial aid to attend. The average need-based grant award is $49,022. For families with income below $60,000, with less than $100,000 in assets, there is 0 family contribution and 0 loans in their students' aid package. Because loans are capped at different levels of income, average loan debt for Cornell students is $24,000 compared to the national average of $32,600. In FY22, Cornell University will expend $321 million of institutional grant aid to its students, triple what it was 20 years ago. In the current school year, we have 100 Higher Education Opportunity Program students and 111 Educational Opportunity, EOP, students. Our Opportunity students typically graduate at a rate above 90%. This is equal to or above graduation rate for all of Cornell students. Cornell firmly commits to a student population that is inclusive and diverse. In fall 2021, 25% of undergraduate students identify as Black, Hispanic, or Indigenous, and another 25% identify as Asian or Asian white. We are proud of the measures we take to ensure access to a world-class Cornell education for students from all backgrounds. We can do this because of our essential partnerships with state and federal governments and our generous alumni, and because of the investments made to ensure access for all future students. While supporting our on-campus students to financially achieve a Cornell degree, that commitment extends beyond the campus and into the New York State prison system. Since incarcerated people lost access to public financial aid in the mid-1990s, Cornell has operated a program delivering high-quality college coursework to students in all 4 prisons within an hour's drive of Cornell. Our faculty and students provide instruction and teaching assistance, mentoring, and tutoring. The mission is to support students as they build meaningful lives inside prison and to prepare them for a successful reentry with bona fide credentials. Under the initial Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund, passed as part of the CARES Act, Cornell received an allocation of $12.8 million. While only half was intended for direct emergency relief for students, President Martha Pollack made the decision to distribute all funds to students based on financial need and as refunds for housing in spring 2020. Another $6.4 million was distributed to students as part of the CRISA Act, and $11.2 million of federal funding as a result of the American Rescue Plan. In the spring and summer of 2020, we re-examined every student's financial aid package and new applicants for financial aid in light of the financial impacts of the pandemic. Soon after closing our campuses in March of 2020, we began an intensive science-based modeling process to determine the safety of both our on-campus community and the surrounding communities. If there was a way to welcome students back to campus that was safer than remaining closed, we wanted to pursue that option. During the spring and summer, Cornell embarked on a faculty-led disease and safety modeling project that determined that with significant and frequent surveillance COVID testing and strict social, travel, and isolation protocols, instances of disease among the Cornell community would be far less than if students returned to their Ithaca area apartments without on-campus learning. This proved very successful. Cases remained low during both semesters of study, and students were able to participate in in-person courses at least 1/3 of the time. Importantly, they were able to have meaningful, albeit limited, interaction with their peers and professors. The New York State College of Veterinary Medicine, which runs the New York State Veterinary Diagnostic Laboratory in contract with the Department of Ag and Markets, set up a partnership with Cayuga Medical Center to test for COVID in human samples. The lab continues to run testing for students, faculty, staff, and surrounding communities. To date, over 1.5 million tests have been performed by the Cornell COVID Testing Center, and all while maintaining the capacity of testing for diseases in New York State's animal agriculture sector and for companion animals. The cost to Cornell for this testing operation is well north of $30 million. Surveillance testing continues today on a voluntary basis for many of our vaccinated members of our community, and mandatory adaptive testing for certain students and staff. Once a vaccine was given emergency use authorization in early 2021, Cornell became one of the first campuses to mandate vaccination for all students in fall 2021. I would like to accept any questions that the committee has. Thank you.
Thank you. I assume you were speaking at the numbers for the statutory, strictly the statutory
Not
colleges.
strictly in terms of all of our financial aid numbers. Those are Cornell-wide.
Yep.
And they are distributed amongst all of our Cornell community.
Same with
We
the,
have one financial aid office that determines financial need on an individual basis.
you're right, we do have the HOP and EOP. We have both
Correct.
programs. Yep.
I've asked this question of others. What would you say are your legislative priorities, and what are the issues that you consider to be important for
Sure.
next year?
Maybe I'll start with the conversation we just had with UP President Cowell. I would just echo everything he said. Literally, the funding. We get a small part of the SUNY, state campus allocations that goes to those 4 state colleges we have. We call them statutory colleges. And everything he said, I would agree with. How those numbers have been stuck. Remember, before the last 10 years, they were a lot higher, actually. And then the financial crisis hit, numbers came down and they've been static. And all of these campuses have been doing so much more with the same nominal amount. And then you can add, if inflation takes off like it looks like it is, those nominal dollars become worth even less. So, so I think that's the biggest factor for us is the operating support within SUNY. And then I'll just mention, Zoe mentioned it, we have this diagnostic lab contracted through the Department of Ag and Markets. So we protect, the food supply and animal agriculture. Boy, we've seen the importance of these zoonotic diseases now. We now know why we keep these diseases out of the state. And so the funding for that actually was cut over the last number of years. But this last year, Senator Hinchy and Assemblywoman Lopardo, they engineered the first increase in a few years for that lab to get back to where the funding had been in the budget this current year. So it's a better year this year than we had seen for those disease testing, for that disease testing lab, which was critical. Those are 2 big priorities. Would you mention another, or
Well, no, I
financial
think
aid is obvious,
The opportunity programs are a
Exactly.
real integral part of who we are
Yep.
at Cornell. And, we run the 2 programs together under our Office of Academic Diversity Initiatives. That also encompasses supports for veteran students, for first-generation students, for students in our C-STEP programs. So, certainly any increases to that program are greatly appreciated from the legislature. We know your commitment to those programs.
Yeah, and I noticed that the president decided to use all of the CARES
yes.
money, and the second CARES, the emergency
Yep.
money for the students, where they were only required to use
Right.
half.
Right.
How did this college fill in their expenses? Because obviously it was
Yep.
costing more for administrative,
I'll mention a few things. Boy, our expenses in some ways went down,
fewer students.
Well,
And
so.
the buildings still have to be
There-
heated and used.
Yes, but
and
there
so
were
on.
certain things that we spent less on. We didn't lay staff off. It was sort of an interesting debate. We didn't know how long, nobody knew what the pandemic would look like, how long it would continue, et cetera. But like Zoe said, the first priority was how can we try to get students back next semester? So we worked very closely with the state, CICU, the SUNY systems. We literally are on calls every day with those entities, comparing notes.
We did take some measures to share initial financial pain.
Yep.
Top administrators certainly took individual pay cuts, but
That's
there
right.
was
Yep.
a reduction in the contribution to retirement accounts,
That's
a
right.
short-term
Yep.
measure. And actually, because we had overestimated the burden, some of that's been paid back to individual employees.
And the students came back.
The
Yeah,
students
that's right.
came
That was the
back.
first priority, exactly.
Right.
Let's
So
try to get
your
the students back.
enrollment was not affected.
It was not affected. The enrollment's fine. A couple things I'll just mention sort of related to the enrollment is a few years ago, it goes back to the SED too, we got approval from the State Ed Department to create a Master of Public Health program based at the vet school. So that was about 5 years ago, we had this proposal, it was approved. That program is now very, very hot. Again, it's just a small program, but we have more students enrolling in that than we envisioned. So that's one example of sort of enrollment. We're always keeping an eye on enrollment. What do students want? What classes are they looking for? What degrees do they look for? Another one we did, we just unveiled it this year, was a new a School of Public Policy, where we always offered policy, but it was always distributed in different places. So we have a School of Public Policy, which it's sort of has faculty from various places, the School of Labor Relations, Agriculture, even Government Department, also Human Ecology, so that students don't have to sort of wonder, oh, can I major in something policy related at Cornell, and then they do the digging, they find out, yes, they could. We're making it sort of, we're always looking to try to make it easier for students to figure out, you can come to Cornell if you want to study that. And so our enrollment has really not been affected. It's still doing fine. But again, we're constantly trying to sort of adapt. I think, frankly, a part of it was the fact that we brought students back and that we mandated vaccine. I think that helped our enrollment. Sure, there were some people who decided not to come, but the vast majority, I think it gave them comfort, them and their families, requiring vaccine. And now we're also requiring it of all of our faculty and staff. I think it kicks in January 18th. If they're not vaccinated, you can't work at Cornell. So I think there are a lot of people, I think, who are looking for that extra, protection. This will be a safe place to attend, and going forward. How long will this last? Well, we are trying to be as safe a campus as we can, and so far it's worked. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Senator Gorin?
Did you have much in terms of issues with the vaccination policy implementation?
We had the typical ones. We were, like Zoe said, we were the second school in the nation, we think, right after Rutgers, to require of students. We had a lot, we were asked a lot about it, a lot of questions, governor's office, others in the state. When we first put that mandate out, it was, of course, it was probably in August or something, when we told our incoming students, oh, by the way, you have to be vaccinated if you want to attend. We got a lot of, letters from lawyers saying you can't do this, we're going to file suit, and we gave relatively few religious and medical exemptions. There was a process. So we have some, but the numbers are very small because we really made people justify, why they needed it. And I think it's 99+% of our students are vaccinated. So, yeah, there was a lot of pushback, but
You survived.
we survived, and I think it was the right thing to do. Yeah.
And in terms of the future, are you going to be looking at making some changes as it relates to remote versus in person?
So who knows the future? It's so murky, I'll take.
I mean, assuming we're
Yep.
done with COVID.
Okay, great. Well, we thought we were done with, to be honest, I mean, it's a good question. I'll answer it the best I can. We thought we were done with COVID like a year ago. We thought it's not in the rearview mirror. But on that, we have learned a lot about this hybrid. Most people, the faculty, the students really want the in-person, but it does look like there are some classes that you can do remote, or parts of classes you can do remote. So but we also feel really strongly that the whole environment of being, in a place with others, studying and learning and bumping into people, that there's a huge benefit to that. So that's our default. But yeah, I think we've learned an awful lot about, certain ways and actually certain people who can learn almost, as well remotely. But sort of overall, we really learned the power of this, people being on a physical campus, learning together, doing things together. So
So it might be a tool to some extent.
definitely, yeah.
I would echo even some of, Fred Cowell's testimony in terms of full-time faculty and creating a sense of place.
Yep.
Our community in Tompkins County, we are part of that community, and I think having students and faculty and staff and employees being an integral part of that, economic space, I think is very important. I do think that there is a space for flexibility in learning. What that looks like in the future, it's hard to tell.
And then I'll just add, Senator, great question, but also the mental aspect, the mental health part of it. We're seeing these students who are, struggling with all the remote, and so that's maybe another reason to try to get back to the in-person, at least for the majority, and have people, together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having these hearings.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Terrific.
for
You betcha.
making the trip.
Thanks for everything you're doing.
It is
Great.
now 3:45, and the committee meeting,
Toby, I just want to thank.
I'm sorry.
I just want to thank the staff
I-
for all their hard work.
without a doubt, we thank the staff, the Media Services,
4 hearings.
4 hearings. But I particularly thank my colleagues for being there at all 4.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And the meeting